I wanted to thank everybody who had just subscribed within the past couple of days. I do really appreciate it. And for those who have been on here for a while, this is going to be a different kind of video. And what this video is going to be is a discussion video based on a buddy read that I'm doing with a few booktubers. And the host is Aaron over at Ross Queen's Books. And we are actually going to be discussing Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchell. This is my copy that I'm reading from. This is the Easton Press edition. And I have read it already a few years ago, and when Aaron over at Ross Queen's Book decided to do a buddy read, since she just picked up a copy over at Foyles in London, I was on board with this. I wanted to read it again. I really liked the book, and I am a huge fan of the movie. So last week we had a video on her channel discussing chapters 1 through 6, and today this is going to be on my channel doing chapters 7 through 20 and what we think so far. So as we know, that Scarlett O'Hara is a daughter of a rich family from the South, and she is the oldest daughter, and so that means she definitely gets her way, except for when it comes to having a pick of some of the men that she likes. A lot of men definitely like her because we also learned that she is a good-looking girl for 16 years old. And to me, that is a little bit young as courtship goes when marrying. But back then, after, 18 or 19 years old, you were considered an old spinster compared to today. But she has her eyes set on a cousin of hers by the name of Ashley Wilkes. And he is already engaged to Melanie. And so he tells her no, that he's already engaged to Melanie and that he can't marry her. So she is upset, and she tries again and fails. After Ashley refuses to marry her again at the barbecue that is hosted by the Wilkes family, George, Melanie's brother, is so infatuated with Scarlett and wants to be her husband. And after some thought and deprivation, she agrees. And so that brought us up now to where we are currently reading from chapter 7 through chapter 20. And as we go along, we find out that just within a short period of time, she is not only married, of course, a day before Melanie gets married, she is also a widow and is with child. Her husband, George, did not make it on the battlefield like he wanted to. He didn't listen to the Civil War, and he already had a general in mind, as he has said in the previous chapter, who he was going to enlist for, and he died of complications from pneumonia and measles, and so he didn't even make it to the battlefield. What I find is odd throughout this, that Scarlett, of course, is mad and is in mourning, even though she didn't really care for George and she just didn't want to become an old maid. But when her son is born, she leaves her son entrusted to the child slave of the family. And I just think it's kind of odd and strange that she would basically have a child watch over a child. Scarlett does not care for the sound of the crying that the baby makes, and so whenever he cries, she has the child slave go and hold the baby so he would stop crying. I know a lot has happened to her within a few short weeks, but she is just a spoiled brat and is used to getting her own way, and for once she did not get her own way, and I think a lot of that has in mind. And so she goes in a state of hysteria, and her mother thinks that she ought to go and visit some family. Actually, I believe it was suggested by a doctor, and her mother agrees. And so she goes to a few families' house and gets bored and comes back early and doesn't really care for either of the family members that she's visited. And so she actually gets a call from Melanie and her mother, and they want her to come over to the house for a while, and especially they want to see Melanie's now nephew who has been born. I think all this, again, for that time period, she's just kind of prissy in a way, and spoiled brat nonetheless. We do end up meeting a character early on in the book called Rhett Butler, and we do get more developed in his character throughout these chapters. And he gets some advances at Scarlet, and Scarlet doesn't want anything to do with him. As far as that, she's still in mourning, and will not even consider marrying him so far, at least. But he buys her an expensive bonnet, and he says it costs about $2,000, and that is, of course, Confederate money. And I do not know how much that totals up to right now. But anyway, he said he had no intention of actually marrying her or kissing her, which later on we find out that that he does intend to marry her. But everybody in Mulaney's family hates Rhett Butler. Scarlet likes him, and Mulaney just likes him a little bit. But Scarlet is now working with Mulaney at a hospital taking care of Confederate troops and that has been wounded from the war. She then finds out that the hospital's doctor's son has been killed in the war, and she's the one that actually goes and talks to the doctor and tells him about it. But that's where we are at right now. Nothing really else major going on. I do like the fact that we're actually starting to get more and more in depth about the wars that are going on at the time, and start talking about Gettysburg and different things like that. So I want to know what everybody else's opinion is, what they think about Scarlet so far, if she is a spoiled brat in their opinion. She, again, is used to getting her own way, and for those that watch the movie and maybe have read this before and it's not your first time, you know that famous line, which I'm not going to say because a lot of people, of course, we aren't there yet, but she is just a strange character, not somebody that you would probably want to hang out with. But also I want to get everybody's take on the slave interaction between the families. I do like the fact that as far as this particular book, there's no beatings or anything that we know of that's going on right now. For this time period, there has been a lot of that. But they do, as mentioned in the last video with another comment, that they do seem to be treated as part of the family of the owners. And so I do kind of like that fact as well. I mean, especially when Scarlet has the young slave girl take after her son because she doesn't want to take care of him at all. I just kind of, again, find that's odd as well. So thanks everybody again for watching this video, and hope everybody has a great rest of their week and reading week, and hopefully everybody continues to like Gone with the Wind.